What's up, my people? Welcome to another amazing episode of the Can't Be Broken podcast, where we are shining light on the darkness that is domestic violence and abuse. Season 2. Boom, 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 boom. If you've never been here before, welcome to the show. We got 3 simple goals: to educate, empower, and encourage. We are here to educate anyone who's never been in an abusive relationship, doesn't understand the complexities of abusive relationships, how people get in them, why people stay. We're going to find out. We're here to empower all of our survivors to stand up and share your story without shame, fear, guilt, or judgment, because you are strong, you are powerful, and your voice deserves to be heard. And to anyone who is currently suffering in silence, listen, you are not alone. You're not crazy. Abuse is not normal. Your feelings are valid. And despite how it may look and feel in this very moment, there is always a way out. And we encourage you to safely seek support. Now, come on with me, because we about to hop up in this thing so that we can rise above these insecurities, release the burdens of shame and guilt, and revive our God-given power, purpose, and passion. The Confidence Way. We about to light it up. Well, y'all know what it is. Another amazing episode of the Can't Be Broken podcast. And here we are, another week with another amazing sister of mine who is beautiful, who is strong, powerful, unique, the light of her life and this world in her own unique shyness. But the world knows her as Janice. Pew, 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 pew. Janice! How you doing, girl?
Hey, good. Yeah, if you had the right gestures enabled, you could make finger pops and
Yes!
but I don't
Oh!
have that. Yeah. You
And you could
have
do the whole two-piece
yeah,
and like
yeah.
the
And then you
balloons
can
come up.
and if you do a sad one, I mean, I don't have it enabled, but I know if you do a sad one, they'll have a rain cloud show up.
Okay, I need to look
It's
into that.
super cute.
I need to look. See, now I got to figure out how to figure that out. That's right. I forgot. I didn't even think about those because all I'm thinking about is like I don't have a soundboard yet, so I make my own sounds. But I would love that. Oh man, and then we just have the screen lit up. Yes, I'm so glad you're doing good. I just want to say first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Thank you for coming on this show. Thank you for your willingness to stand up and share your story, to not only continue to power yourself, but empower others and encourage others who have either come out of it and still feel hopeless, that there is hope and there is joy on the other side, as well as encouraging and empowering those who are still in it and they still feel trapped, because we've all been there and we all felt like there we couldn't get out, we couldn't make the decision because whoever we thought it was going to affect and impact. Just thank you for being another voice in this community, to be like, girl, I done been through some crap, you done been through some crap, but you don't got to stay in the crap, so come on out of it and be on the other side with me. Thank you so much for your transparency and your honesty. We appreciate your presence.
Thank you for having me. No, I think it's really important, and it happens, unfortunately, to more people than you think.
And oh my gosh, it is. I remember 2 years ago, 2026, almost 2 years ago, I was doing an event in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was doing a vending thing because I had started a clothing brand and I was making jewelry and things like that. And it was a women's health expo, and I was just kind of getting out into being comfortable, semi-comfortable, of saying why I started the brand. I left an controlling abusive marriage and all of the things. And it's like this older lady was like, your story is just like mine. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yes. And she had to relocate. And he doesn't know to this day, like where she is. But just hearing that and knowing you never know how many people you're walking by who are either
Yeah,
currently hiding and pretending like everything's okay, or have already been there and they made it out. So, like you said, it's
yeah.
happening way more often than it should. It's being overlooked way more than it
Mhm.
should. It's being undervalued and diminished way more than it should. It's being neglected and dismissed and all the things. But here we are, uniting as one voice to say we will no longer be voiceless in this world. And we're going to let you know what we've been through: the crap,
Yeah.
the trash, and all of
No,
the
I
things.
mean, you don't get to be like pushing 40 and like still putting up with
Right.
that.
Right. And the crazy thing is, though, there are people who are pushing 60 and 70 and still putting up with it. Or I had 2, 3 episodes ago, I had one of my sisters on, and she was married for 40 or 50 years.
God.
She didn't experience he passed away. She was married to sounded like the love of her life. He passed away. Then several years later, she entertained an old high school friend, and she was abused at 62 for the first time in her life.
Oh my God.
Like crazy abuse too. Not just yeah, it was crazy.
So,
So
so horrific.
horrific.
Yeah.
But to know that it doesn't discriminate against gender, against sex, against gender and sex, against race, against age. I think
Hmm.
that this is like it's just not discussed.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how many people are impacted, how the children are impacted, how the friends are impacted, and our good old justice system.
Yeah. No,
Um,
it's really interesting that even though yeah, it's better than it used to be depending on where you are, but even then like it's almost like there are so many fail safes baked in for, oh, and by the way, if you try to do this, but then there are these three outs, and and then I guess the biggest part of it is like, financial abuse is probably pretty common in most situations, but that's not accounted for like within the court system. So, what do you know? And of course she's going to look crazy, or he's going to look crazy if they have no money, they have like, they have like mental health issues, they
mhm.
have like unstable work stuff because of either financial control or also just because that's what, the abuser gets the supply from. So, it's
Yeah.
just I mean, there's a lot of stuff in name, but if you you know I would just think that like it is more uncommon than not to that women I would think like maybe like unfortunately I wish it were different, but I would say maybe 1% of custody battles involving kids actually have the right outcome and is treated appropriately. Maybe, and I think I'm overstating it, honestly.
Listen, you said two things just now. That one, because as I mentioned before in a previous episode, it blows my mind that our court systems and our police departments and our sheriff's departments and our child protective services, like when if someone is has the courage to report the abuse, and even though they still have that trauma bond and they're still like their mindset is still manipulated and out of whack, so they go back and
Yeah.
they're judged, right, for going back. And it's just like we've seen this time and time again. You've got to get out, you've got to stop going back, we're not going to keep showing up. Like you have this mentality, you see the patterns, you know this in history's past of other people doing it, but then even though you have that authority, you still permit the abuser to have access to their kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
and in a lot of cases unsupervised.
Yes, that's the crazy thing about it, right? Like, and it's really like shocking how many different like family annihilators and like how many it's like nobody really cares because the people who care are dead. So,
Right.
well, I mean, and I live in Washington, right? Where like, there was like the Josh Powell incident. There was like, I mean, I'm just saying that like I know it's all over the place, right? But
Hmm.
it's just kind of shocking how many high profile incidents there has to be. And I mean, and I mean like I know that legislature is trying to address it, but I would say that in my case in particular, like my divorce case, I separated from my ex in 2023, I believe.
Hmm.
Yes, August 2023. And since then, we've been going through the divorce process. I have three children, right? And I mean, like I got to a point where my ex had manipulated the system enough so, my lawyer didn't want to represent me anymore. And like it was a lot. It was a lot of drama. But then again, you get three men in a room and a one woman, and what is going to happen here, you know? Like, because I went through the mediation process, even though I really shouldn't, because my lawyer was unprepared for it. But then I was only like what, 3 to 6 months out of abuse, and I was at PTSD and all of these
Mm-hmm.
things. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think what is really scary about that, like I think what is the hardest, like if I go back to like the mindset of where I was, you know, it's really hard to gather all those things, especially if you're in a financially abusive relationship. And so, and then much besides, I mean, like, I just feel like all of the things that you have to do are very administrative. Like you got to sit down and like pore over things for hours and find all of these records that you might not have access to. And meanwhile, they're still trying to harass you to get that like
Yes.
hit of it, you know, like still like demeaning you, still
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, you know, it I mean like it's it's just amazing that like no one no one considers the perspective of, I mean, not just like, you know, within like domestic violence and divorce, but any kind of like real trauma and what effect that would have on showing up within the system.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, ne never mind, you know, actually, hey, do they know what's going on? Are they in a place where they can talk about it? Like, can we do anything to make this less horror? And the worst thing about it is, that sort of thing is realizing your fears because
Mm-hmm.
I mean like the thing that like I mean and I understand this a lot now because like after this 2 years I mean I just spent a lot of time healing. I was a stay-at-home mom prior to that, but I did like little side things. I did like photography, writing, like I can't even remember now, so many different things. But I have a law degree from Singapore, which is a common law jurisdiction. So, but even then, so one should think that with that in mind, but it didn't matter because by that point in time, I was so dysregulated. Like to this day, I am still dysregulated. In that, so in Singapore, I was a photographer. I did maternity, baby stuff, outdoor, like, and I was in a studio. I worked part-time. However, since so what happened is we met in New York in 2012. We got pregnant and married. And then we moved back to Singapore for my family. And in Singapore, he couldn't isolate me as thoroughly, and I worked as a photographer. And by the time we moved back, and then after that, we moved back to the States. And even though I ended up, you know, getting a gig for working for a photography education firm, and I had been a photographer in the past. To this day, I don't believe I can be a photographer, even though I was one. And yeah, it's just one of those things. There's always one particular line that if they manage to take that essential part of you, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I know now, I know, I have known for 2 years, I have known even when he was lying to me and I was believing it, that you know, that this is not true. And I know that wasn't true because people paid me because
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't true. You know, but I cannot, I don't know what it is, but I can't yeah, I can't do it.
It's ooh, girl, we got a lot to
Yeah.
unpack. Golly, shoot. I
Yeah.
think on the last part, it's um it's about confidence. And how long were y'all together? You said you met in 2012,
2012, yeah.
and then y'all went through your divorce in 2023.
Yeah.
So you're with him
11 years,
for
right?
11 years. That's
Yeah.
11 years of brainwashing, conditioning, and
Yeah.
manipulation. Because I remember he would get to a point where he would tell me I was mean, and no one has ever called me mean in
Mm.
my life. Unless, we're like kids and oh, you're in meanie pants or something like that. But no one's ever called me mean, but he kept saying it so much. And I was like, I would be looking back and thinking about relationships and conversations with my friends and stuff before him. I'm like, am I really mean and selfish? Like he really got
Yes.
me to a point where I was questioning my authentic character. And he would be like, you go out there and you act one way and you're different here. And I'm like, am I just performing for like I was really doubting who I was. So I got out of it, got closer to God, and he was like, "It's your confidence, girl, your confidence is low." And I found I looked up the definition of self-worth. I found it on the American Psychology
Mhm.
Association. They said that the definition of self-worth is a person's perception of their own capability. Like, am I
Mhm.
valuable? My own value, my own capability. Am I capable? And do I deserve respect and consideration? And those things determine if your self-worth is high. Like, do you see yourself as valuable? Do you see yourself as capable? And do you deserve these things? Or do you not? And wherever you fall on that is like, well, if I don't see the value and the capability, which you've proven you're capable
Yeah.
and other people have shown you that you're valuable, but until we tap in and really reprogram our own brains again to believe that for ourselves, we're gonna and I still struggle with self-doubt on certain things. Like I know I'm supposed to be doing, I have a book that I haven't finished yet, and I'm like, I'm dragging my feet on it because I'm questioning whether or not it's going to have the impact that I want it to have for the people I want it to have it for. But I know it's supposed to, but then I'm like,
Mm.
why else am I dragging my feet if I know it's going to do that? There's doubt there that I'm still working
Mhm.
on. And I think too that like for you, I think that that's, and for anyone who even, this is what I struggle with, seeking validation and approval from other people.
Mhm.
And until we can validate and improve ourselves and put that stamp on ourselves, we're constantly chasing a false sense of security.
Yeah.
Because it's like, let's say 100 people have hired you to do your gigs, and you come up, you've shown up, you've done your performance, you took the pictures, they loved it, they sing you praises, but then you're like, well, the world has 8 billion people in it. This is only 100.
Yes, yes. So if you think about it mathematically,
Yep. And
if
you're,
I
and
was
then,
really good, I would, yeah, all of those things
yes,
that like,
yes.
ah,
They throw you off and it's all like the crazy thing is it's all lies because you've already shown that you have it.
yeah,
But then you comparing yourself to whoever we compare ourselves to.
yeah. No, and I think like it's almost like, if they destroy something that is important to you,
Oh
then
yeah.
you don't have it anymore, because I did have that joy. I did
Mm,
have that. There was a point in time where, like I was like, oh, this is great, moment to moment, like,
yeah.
going to the studio early, like planning my shoots, like talking to the people, this is great, and yeah, so it's just but what I've realized about that, right? And I've done like so much reading, it's ridiculous.
Hmm.
But because so what I mean, like, I went to a anti-human trafficking summit that was in this
Wow.
area. Yeah. And it was a really, really interesting story. So I think it's called Ashoo, Ashoo or something like that. But it's a woman who escaped
Gosh.
human trafficking as a child. And so, like, because someone had come, I think the you can look it up, it's called like she now runs a community center and also has a catering business that like helps employ or like retrain people who have been through
Hmm.
theft, right? And so in her story she said that she was brought from I can't remember where, but somewhere in India, I believe. Maybe
Hmm.
it might have been Bangladesh. I can't be sure. But so when this white guy went there, right? And this was just like 40 minutes from my house, right? And he befriended everyone. He built a bunch of infrastructure for them, and then because everyone was like, oh, this guy's so great, and this guy took an interest in the family, and their family was the poorest in like the poorest place ever, right? And he was like, oh, I'll bring the kids, and I will, they'll have more opportunity. And even though the mom was like, I don't know, I don't feel good about this because of the pressure of everyone else in the community. It's like, oh, you don't trust him? Why? He gave us this, he gave us this. And so they all went there, right? And they were like severely beaten. They were like, it took her, it was so crazy. It took her one of the older cousins killing themselves to because at that point in time they killed them, like the 16-year-old killed themselves, and then the her and her brother didn't know what to do and had to like ask for help while the adults were out, right? And they left the little compound and went outside. And the whole reason why they never left was because they were told, number one, this phone that there is, like, if I call them on this phone, this red phone, they will come for you and you will be put in jail. And then number two, this big gate here creaks and I can hear it creak. And if it
Mm.
creaks, like you were in so much trouble, right? And so they went there and they push the gate and then they wait and nothing happens. And then they just start walking and they find and it was a whole, so, but the belief that it is the same thing, the belief in the
Yeah.
gate, the belief, like, oh, that you convince them of,
Hmm.
that makes it impossible for them to leave. And that's
Yes.
just like, and that was just like deeply shocking. And so yeah, the cafe is named Renia's Soul Cafe because it was named after her older cousin who killed herself, so that, like, because she went through a lot of mistreatment, and
Hmm.
it was just really interesting in that moment to see. And then she also like got the cop who came back later to like figure out how to help her and
Hmm.
all of this stuff. And it was just like, it was just devastating, but it was also like really revealing.
Right.
Because it really is like, at the end of the day, maybe our identities are so fundamental, and like a feeling,
Hmm.
so something like that is like a feeling of safety, right?
Yeah.
Which is not so different from a feeling of, safety in yourself and
Hmm.
what you like doing, and like,
Hmm.
that sort of like self-determination, right? So
Yeah.
I just thought that was like a really fascinating story, and it's a crazy story. Yeah. Yeah.
It's it's just mind blowing to know that probably every country there's human trafficking.
Yeah.
And it's like you hear about it in the United States and they're so slick. I just saw I think it was a TikTok video where, and I don't know how real this is, but we're going to take this as face value
Yeah.
and maybe it'll help somebody in the future. It was two friends, three girls had just come out. It's outside. They're, dark outside. They're in a parking lot with multiple cars. The three girls get inside. She puts up her phone to do a TikTok video and they're recording something. And then all of a sudden one of the girls is like, "Why are your windshield wipers up?" And she's like, "What?" So she looks out the windshield and the windshield wipers are standing up. And I'm not sure if she knew what was
Mhm.
happening, but it was one of those Stitch videos where a guy comes on and he's like, they were so lucky because instead of getting out of the car, she immediately puts the car in drive and starts driving off.
Oh my
And
God.
when you like zoom in, it
Oh.
looked like there was in between the next two cars that they were sitting next to a shadow of someone crouched down. And he
Yeah.
said that that's a way for them. What they wanted to happen is for the girl to get out and fix her windshield wipers. And then that's when they snatch her.
Oh my God.
So I don't know how true that is, but it
Yeah.
doesn't sound
Yeah.
far fetched, right?
Yeah, it
Because
isn't.
most of the
It
time you're
isn't.
going to be like, why are my windshield wipers up? You're not going to think to drive off with them up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for anybody who's listening, that might just save somebody's life. I don't know. But to say that, I'm saying is it's amazing that there's human trafficking in the United States all over. And then you have human trafficking in different countries. And they're just literally reverse underground railroading these girls, getting them high, getting them drugged up to
Yes.
be misused and abused. And then you're like to be conditioned, reconditioned to believe that you're only here for the use of someone else to
Yes.
mess over and misuse and drug is one totally different thing, but in the same light as someone who's been in an abusive relationship, what's happening is they're not drugging you with actual narcotics, but they are like they're changing the
Yeah, your
patterns of
brain,
your brain.
yeah, your brain chemistry. Yeah, that's so insane. Yeah, no,
And
like
it's
there's this book that I read that was really excellent. It's called The Gifts of Fear. It's by
mhm,
Gavin DeBauer, right?
okay.
And it's a really like and I would recommend that book to anyone, like anyone who's gone through it or just anyone in general. And it's written by a man who was abused as a child, right?
Mhm.
But he was trying to figure out, why is it that like I don't want to do it? How come I escaped? And it just tells it just explores the idea of fear and how the only thing to fear is fear itself.
Mhm.
So this is what I've realized, and so like what it says is that if you're afraid of something, you can like it hasn't happened yet, so at least you can say it hasn't happened yet. It also like talks about the survival instinct and how people are told to mistrust their survival instinct, and that is where they find themselves like in these situations. And so like I found myself like because I mean like when when I left my abuser, right? Like for a long time I was like, why? Why did I stay? Why? And it's very simple. It's that when you are in a state of fear, you can't admit it because if you admit it, there's nothing you can do. Especially if you
Mhm.
have no one to tell about it, especially if there's no and you do know because the humans are very intelligent, especially about survival. So you do know that whatever you think that on some level, you know that whatever you think that he will do if he's angry, he's going to do anyway. And it's just that you not wanting to make that connection because then you cannot live in that world because you don't have the
Yeah.
resources to do anything with it, right?
Yep.
And
Eh,
yeah, so that's what I've come to after like thinking about it for
yeah.
a really
Yeah.
long time. Reading, like that's what I figured out.
That's a good connection because that's really good because people are always so curious like why do people stay, and it's a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
A lot of them are the same. The main thing is your brain chemistry has been altered and people don't understand that, but there's then the manipulation from the good times are planned so
Hmm.
that you don't like you hold on to the hope that the good person is gonna like outweigh the bad person one day. But to say that I don't want to connect the fear to the belief that I know he would be capable of doing these things, because you
Yes.
don't want to believe that he's going to be like, if I believe that, now what do I do with that information?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. There's nothing you can do. There's absolutely nothing you can do.
So you just sit in a state of fear, your body's in constant fight or flight, and your mind is tormented
Yeah.
because you just like, why am I here, but I can't leave? Why do I want to stay, but I want to leave?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really it's really awful and you don't notice it as it's happening. You don't notice like all of like the small isolation,
Hmm.
the little demeaning things that like it's kind of really interesting because I really do believe that people who are abusive, you know, are it's not like they are incapable of empathy, but it's that they see the opening and they're like, I know exactly how to use this. And that's all
Yes.
it ever is. So they look out for those openings, like any kind
Mhm.
of authenticity and vulnerability to figure out what can I get in on this. And so it makes sense why, breaking my essential thing being like I am a photographer. I love
Mhm.
photography. Everything has been about that. And now I'm actually a photographer. You can never be a photographer because
Yes.
that's yeah, and it's so interesting that that is like he like they know you, they observe you, and then they figure out how they figure like how you could be useful to them.
Your light attracts them and it's
Mm-hmm.
a threat to them at the same time. I'm
Yes.
drawn to it, but if I allow her to actually tap in, stay connected to it, and shine like she was created to, where does that leave me?
Hmm.
I can't control someone who has confidence.
Yeah.
And if I break, like you said, the thing that brings you joy,
Yeah.
like what
Yeah. Then you're shattered. You have nothing. You're
you're
just
just existing,
yeah.
barely
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
have a challenge for you.
Mm.
Oh, I love this. Is a good conversation. We ain't even really.
Yeah. No,
I have
I
a
can go
challenge for
like
you.
I've
What
yeah.
you said that you would go into the studio. So are
Mhm.
you photographing couples? Are you photographing kids? Are you like what were you
Yeah.
doing?
I was a studio family photographer, so sometimes I would do maternities, sometimes I would
Hmm.
do maternities are really fun. I like maternities a lot. Like
Okay.
um um family portraits. Yeah. Yeah, just family and maternity.
Okay. I have a challenge for you. Do you
Oh.
have access to a studio?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I do have act. Yeah, that's also the other crazy thing. No, that's also
Woo!
the other crazy thing. I
This
have
is
the,
good, Janice.
you know, I have the ability. I have the things, but I just can't do it.
You can. You can do it. Here's my challenge for you. Ooh, this is good, Janice. Here's my
Mm.
challenge for you. So there's this person that I stumbled upon on TikTok. I don't remember her name. Are you on TikTok?
I am, but I try not to be. But
But
I
you're not.
am. But you can send it to me, and
I am
I
going
will
to
look
do
at
that.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
going to find her and I'm going to do that. She does this thing called, and I think she's in Alabama or Tennessee.
Hmm.
She does this thing called stranger couple photo shoots. And she gets, I don't know her process, but it seems like she puts it out there and she's like, hey, if you would like to sign up, just random people sign up. Then she goes through, probably looks at their profile pictures, and is like, oh, I think they would make a cute couple for photography, right? So then they create a scheduled meetup time to show up for the photo shoot, and they don't see each other until she does this reveal where they turn like they one of them's blindfolded, both of them blindfolded, right? And they're back to back. Then they can take the blindfolds off and turn around. So she's snapping the immediate attraction to each other.
Oh my
Then
God.
she's giving them cues like, okay, I want you to laugh at him like he's telling you a funny joke. I want you to look her in the eyes or hold her this way or pick her up. Like they've done things out in the field. She had one couple in the water. Like it was, and their chemistry, the natural joy of the thrill, because clearly if you're going to sign up for this, you already have this
Yeah.
certain level of adventure in your life. So the
Yeah.
natural adventure of the people who are signing up for this, they're like almost all the way into whatever she suggests, and she's just capturing it on camera. And she's like, I can't imagine how enjoying that is. And since you said family and maternity shoots, like you get the joy of the love that you see when you're capturing it. I can
Yeah.
hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
if what
Mm-hmm.
if you got your toes wet again simply by like what happened if we did a stranger photo shoot?
Hmm.
And you're just like, hey, anybody want to sign up for this? This is what we're going to do. And then you could create an easy Google form and be like, these are our times that we're going to do the photo shoot. And then once they
Yeah.
get their information, you send them the messages, and then y'all have a scheduled time just to see. But because it sounds like the confidence too would rise once you get the adventure of it again, like the
Yeah.
joy of people, because everybody well, I can't say everybody, but I'm sure a lot of the couples you photographed, you might not have known everybody, you know? They may have really come to you off the quality of your work that they've seen from somebody else.
Yeah, no, and that's a fascinating thing to think about. Like that's really interesting. What a fascinating thing.
And get this, Janice, it takes the pressure off of you feeling like whether or not you're good, because I'm not signing up for this photo. I'm
Yeah,
not paying
it's
for this photo shoot. I'm not
strangers. Yeah.
signing up for this photo shoot expecting these phenomenal pictures. And it gives you the freedom to express your behind the lens creativity
That's so
without the
interesting.
pressure of delivering something and not knowing if you're going to deliver it they wanted.
Ah, that's so fascinating. That's such an interesting idea. yeah, just to like see what happens, you
just to
know.
see what happens.
That's why people get into photography in the first place, because they want to see what happens with people.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Oh, that's so interesting.
I was also watching a movie. I do not know the name of it, but there was a girl who had her own portrait studio. And
Hmm.
people would come in all the time asking for passport pictures. And she's like, we don't do passport pictures. But what she did in her portrait studio is she would ask questions to get the person she's photographing to answer. Like they're just what they seem like random questions, but they're authentic questions. And she's snapping when they're giving the answer to get this rare capture or moment in time of an authentic version of themselves to look back on as opposed to everything being posed. And I just think if you give yourself, if you're able to find a way to take the pressure off and just give yourself the freedom to go shoot, you'll fall in love with shooting again and your confidence will come back because they're gonna love these photos.
Yeah,
Like
that's
somebody
fun.
was
Well,
paying me at one point.
especially if you find hot people to put together.
And you find good people, and they're always cute. Like everyone that I've
Yeah.
seen, and I haven't seen a lot of them, but probably I've probably seen at least 20 of her shoots, right? And they're always cute. It's
Yeah.
just like innocent, and it was no age range either. She did like you could tell some of the couples were really, really fresh teenagers, like maybe college students, and then you could tell that some of the couples were probably in their late 20s or mid 30s where they've had experiences and stuff, but everyone showed up because of the just that adventure side. Everyone
That's so
showed up
interesting.
with no
Yeah,
expectation but joy.
that is so interesting. Like, and it kind of taps into why, yeah, it taps into why anyone becomes a photographer in the first place. You know,
Hmm.
to see what people are like. And
Yeah.
oh, that is fascinating. And oddly, like it's interesting that like, we go into photography as a discussion, right?
Hmm.
Because okay, so okay, like how it is. I'm sure this happens with you with like all of your guests, right? Because they have
Hmm.
such complex and long stories, right?
Right.
Um, but the top notes of this story is that because one of my ex's next girlfriends had a child too, and there was something between our children, so we met up and talked about it, and then we became friends. And then um when she was trying to escape him, she was like in his garage, like too afraid to go in and stuff like that. And I mean, it was interesting because like it actually like I mean, yeah, I mean, I helped to move out of it. I had to like confront him. I had to show up and like, in that week I aged like I don't know, like 1 year for every day because she called me and
Yeah.
told me about it. And so anyway, long story short, right? She's staying in my house now. And it's she's okay on like getting stuff because like he moved out because he moved her in immediately.
Yep.
And then she was stranded there, and
Yep.
then like he took away her because she does like psychic readings and stuff like that. He took away all of her ability to work by like
Hmm.
closing the door, like passive aggressive, whatever it was. And so like now she's like working on it, and it's just like it's kind of interesting. But she was telling me about how there was this one time where he was drunk, and she like and she was just like and he's like a shitty drunk. They're always the shitty drunks, and not like the drunks who are like,
They're
who
not
go
the happy
chasing.
ones. Yep.
They're not the ones who are like, "Oh, I'm so drunk. I'm gonna bake some cupcakes."
Yep.
They're not that,
No.
because I have,
They're the
and
dark side.
they're not the sleepy drunks.
Nope.
They're
They
not, no,
know it's like they can't go to sleep.
no,
They're
no.
insomniac drunks.
Yeah, they're
And
the
then they'll
worst.
keep you up.
Yeah, they're the dark place. They're like children,
Yeah.
shitty children. Um, that's what it is. Like the worst kind of. Anyway, and she was telling me that she had asked him not to do something or whatever. And he did it anyway. And then he turned and
Mhm.
smiled at her in this like creepy way. And she was like, that was like really horrifying. And I said to her, like, it's really funny. He's so bad at taking pictures. In fact, the only time I've ever I've only taken like, and I'm a good photographer for sake. I,
Come on.
you know.
Oh,
No,
Janice.
and so but I
Tap
managed to get
in.
a picture where he looks like a person, okay? Like he looks like a person that and I have this one picture, and I will tell you what, I have this one picture. You know how much it killed me to be like, I can't, because there's nothing wrong with you, But it's just like, because at first it's just like, oh, people are a bit like,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, like, I think that's really interesting because, like, we were talking about the light, we were talking about that. I think that, and she and I were talking about how, like, but early on, like, it looked like he had this
Hmm.
I would say almost like purity about it. Like he's like, adventurous and new in this manner, but that's also like a child.
Hmm.
But like I, I wonder how much, like, if you think about it psychologically, it's like they're sort of in awe of you and they want and
Hmm.
and so rarely do they want things. And
Yeah.
so that becomes, but then once you have it, like it's not like because they're incapable of producing their own joy, right?
Yes.
Because if they did, they wouldn't need to like, control you
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, they would need to control you to feel like a person. And
Yep.
like because I found like that's the thing, like they're extremely lonely, but then they still
Yep.
have family because they figured out how to like machinate that into a thing, and so it's so I mean, in that way, that's why they're so able to pass for decent human beings, because
Hmm.
somewhere in there is something. If they had any measure of self-awareness, any inclination towards, if they had a thing, they would.
Hmm.
And sometimes I think in relationships they're able to have a thing, but but the moment that they realize they can lose it, all of their worst impulses kick in.
Yeah.
And that's why I mean, and so and I mean like, and and even now, like, I'm feeling that, like, I want to say that, and I'm being extremely charitable, but I'm not, I'm not.
Hmm.
I'm just saying it like it is,
Yeah.
like, and so it's interesting because like I'm not bitter about it, I'm not
Hmm.
bitter. I mean, I did get it. I mean that there were things that he did that, you know, so much drama. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
but my point is that, it's not like at this point in time, like, I seek to understand it just because I mean, the truth is, like, no, like, he is in pain and he will continue to
Hmm.
be in pain forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I realized that a while after I left, I was like, at as much pain and fear that he caused, I look back and I'm like, it's so sad and disappointing because he's hurting so bad and he's is self-destruction. And
Yeah.
and he doesn't know, not that he doesn't know. He's too afraid
Yes.
to go get the help to uncover what's really causing this. Like what are they? What are they? Caribou.
Mm-hmm.
There's a parasite that get into caribou. I don't know how it ends up inside of them, but what happens is it goes into their brain. And when the parasite gets into the caribou, it goes. This is so random. And God, I guess God just gave this to me because I
Yeah.
watched this some
Yeah.
random time years ago.
It's all
But
coming back now, this caribou.
this is why I needed this information. They're caribou. No, so it's hilarious. So you just imagine this big, humongous moose. For people who don't know what caribou are, they're like winter moose, and they live out and they're able to endure harsh winters. But this parasite gets into them some kind of way, and it's in their brain. And what happens is it causes disorientation inside of their brain, so
Mm.
much so that they end up dying because they don't know how to function. Like it takes away their capacity to send the signal from their brain to walk, to eat, to do the things that they do to naturally survive. And
Mm.
I think that I see this parasite from the caribou standpoint in abusers, because if you could just have somebody help you tap into what is causing this disorientation in your life, and actually, like, they can't. The saddest thing about the caribou, which as I'm thinking about it, it really is parallel with abusers. The abusers actually have an opportunity to get help, but they're afraid to go that deep within themselves, right? A caribou, once that parasite is there, there's nothing that can be done. Death is inevitable, like premature death is what I should say. And so the best thing to do would be to shoot it and put it out of its misery, so that it's not prolonging this torture that it doesn't even know how to stop.
Yeah.
But if we could get, or if they could get themselves to a certain level of humility
Accountability. Accountability.
and accountability,
Let's just get yeah.
and go get the help, like, they could actually be healed of
Yeah.
the parasite that they're afraid. And all they're doing is just putting more stuff on top of it. It's so that you can't even see, like the princess and the pea, right? There's a pea under mattress, under mattress, under mattress, under mattress, under mattress. And only the
And
princess
so
is able to
little.
feel the pea. It's just a
Yeah.
little pea. But if
Yeah.
we could just dig down there and get it out.
Yeah. No, it's really awful because and that's also why, like, they're so stuck in what
Mhm.
they believe, because
Yeah.
people evolve by changing slightly. People evolve by being like, oh wait, someone said, how am I feeling? I'm gonna do it 3 times, I'm gonna like someone's like, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the thingy goes off, and then you think, have I been mean today? Hmm. And you do it day after day after day. Now you can be like, I'm thinking. At least I'm thinking about what effect I have. And then
Awareness. Yep.
and I'm not even saying the whole goddamn day. I'm saying for those, forget it, 3 minutes,
Hmm.
3 minutes of thinking about how the people around you are feeling that day.
Yeah. Mm.
No. No. What does it do for me? Why would they do
Yeah.
that? Yeah, what does it do? So
Girl, listen,
yeah.
I was thinking about something during this conversation, and it dawned on me. This is just a random input,
Mm-hmm.
that I know why I was thinking it, because I've never started a conversation like this. And I love this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get into the nitty gritty, but it dawned on me. I forgot who I was listening to, but they were saying that the reason, it was when you were talking about the primal instinct and the survival instinct.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the survival instinct. And it took me back to a moment where I was listening to somebody tell the story about why this generation of human beings is vastly different from, I think it was Dr. Miles Monroe. I don't know, but vastly different from the Neanderthals. And when we were out in the woods with the wolves, our survival, our survival senses are different, and our techniques are different. Back in the day, they survived and grew and developed to be able to survive because they would sit around the campfire from a young age every night, listening to the people who've gone before them tell their stories.
Oh, right.
We're barely surviving as survivors of abusers, and we're losing so many people who have been abused, who weren't able to survive. We're not telling these stories.
Yeah.
And when you said that, it triggered in me. I was just like, this is why these conversations are so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we were to put a bet on it, if either myself or you had this conversation with the
Mm,
people in our family who have still hidden, like, because I believe that our families have abuse in there. I haven't seen
yeah.
it, but I believe it's in my family. I mean, I know a little bit of surface level abuse that I just found out about this year or last year
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't in my mom and dad, but the generation before them or the generation before them. And it's still not talked about because of the embarrassment, the shame, the guilt, the
Mm-hmm.
fear, and all the things. But what if we stop thinking so much about ourselves, our shame, our fear, our guilt, our embarrassment, and actually did exactly what you and I are doing right now and had these conversations so that the next generation will know this is not normal. This does happen. This has happened, but you don't have to learn from your experience. Please learn from mine.
Yeah.
Like back in
Yeah.
the day, the young boys were able to grow up to be hunters so quickly because they learned from their fathers and their uncles' experiences by sitting at a campfire and listening to the stories. So that I know
Man.
when I smell something out in the woods is giving off this odor, there's probably a certain snake that I don't need to go over there. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And if we can keep having these discussions, that's probably a red flag that I don't need to go in this
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that like and you see, so meanwhile, so the people being abused don't have these conversations because of shame and everything, right? And then the abusers, on the other hand, right, create the structure and the kingdom of shit. That's what they do. That they can sit in it and be like, I don't know. But it's just, but that's also part of it. Like,
Yeah.
that's part of it. That's and I guess like I don't know, I feel that some of it may be because we are a product of our ancestors and the
Hmm.
times that they lived in. And so like I mean for me, right? Okay, I know that like my mom was extremely emotionally abusive and physically intimidating. And so she and my ex were pretty similar that I
Wow.
came to find, right? Only
Hmm.
after do I because like because you learn the scripts. Like, you know, you
Yeah.
love your mom. You love them because they're your mom. This is family. A good person loves their family, whatever they do, blah, 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 you know? But it occurred to me, I mean, and some of it like I did understand because like, you know, her mother was uh like in Singapore in the in World War II as a Japanese occupation. So it makes sense that like particular hardness was brought
Hmm.
into their caregiving, and that's it sucks that that's what my mom had to grow up with.
Right.
However,
Hmm. Yes.
however, what's the point if she could never be free from it, you know?
Right.
Like so I think that, and I think it's really, really interesting because at the end of the day, I mean, this is a thought I was having, right? Because meanwhile, like and the thing with my mother was that like I was never like her possession. I
Hmm.
mean she wanted me to be her possession, and I wouldn't do it because I guess I
Wow.
didn't want to, right? Yeah, because and it's also like different because like in Singapore, Asian society, right? Second child, woman, not even worth anything, you know? This is just the
Wait,
way.
wait, wait. So no, go ahead and
Yeah.
finish. Go ahead and finish your thought, and then
Yeah.
I wanna hang out some
Yeah.
on camp.
Yeah, and so and I was just thinking about how like, you know, and then meanwhile, like with my ex, right? Like when I would do things like I volunteered in a lot I was on a bunch of like nonprofit boards in Olympia. You know, I would do things, I'd hang out with my friends, and then he would say this to me. He would say that, well, don't you my friend and I had like a partnership and we were in business together doing something, and he felt that I was giving more than her, and he said to me that like don't you see that like yeah that she is stealing from us, right?
Anything to drive a wedge and have you question. Same thing here. Not that we work together, but it
Yeah,
was like, and it's always like a little, if they can just get that
yeah,
little seed planted and then you
yeah,
start questioning, huh, Even though what you're doing out of your pure joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Because you want to hang out with your friend, man. There's nothing wrong with wanting to hang out with your friend and do something together. And to be able to take to like, to give when you can give is not, yeah. But it's stealing from and the truth is when he's saying that, he's not saying, you know, like she's stealing from us. He's saying she's stealing from me
yep,
because you belong to me.
yep. She's
Ugh.
got your time and attention
Yeah.
and energy right now.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting that you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
Because that I don't know that we've ever had that it's a lot of this stuff that we're talking about now. I don't think that we've talked about on previous
Mm-hmm.
episodes, but this is so beautiful and amazing. I have a friend like you and I, even if we weren't getting paid to do something, we have
Yeah.
this trait to help out because that's
Yeah.
just our character and our nature, with
Yeah.
no expectation of what am I getting in return.
Yeah.
And honestly, what we do get in return is the joy of being able to provide assistance or help. Like, wow,
Yeah.
I have something that I can offer. So I have a friend who's in a sorority, and she was, and this is during COVID and all the things, and they would do like these virtual meetups for blood foundation, something red, something for something or other. And then they would have like one day where they would get on a virtual Zoom call and they wanted to do like a fitness class. Well, I was a fitness instructor. And so she asked me, I think 2 years. And I think I only did it for 2 years. But I remember him saying, well, is she paying you for this?
Yes, they always, yes.
Like everything has to be about money.
Yeah. God.
And it's like,
Yes.
you're not the one doing this. It doesn't matter if she's paying, but you don't have any physical, mental, any kind of labor into this production of whatever we're doing. And your thing is she paying you?
Yeah.
And then I was afraid to tell him no. So my answer was, I'm not sure, we hadn't talked about that yet.
Mm,
Because I was afraid if I told him no, he was going to forbid me for doing it. And him being able, since we're locked up in the house anyways, all he has to do is find a way to keep me from getting on the
yeah.
call at the time, which would be a
And
total embarrassment. And then letting her down in front of all of the people who would have been on that call.
wow. Yeah, it's like always having to think about what would they possibly think that could be bad and how
Hmm.
can I not do that thing because
And oh my God,
anxiety is a lot.
it's a lot. Trying that, and that's exactly what it was. Trying to figure out how they would think,
Hmm.
which you never can,
Yeah.
because you'll never be able to live up to whatever expectations they have of you, anyways. But
Yeah.
it's constantly trying to figure out what they're going to think about the move that you're going to make that you haven't made yet, to
Mhm.
decide whether or not you should make the move.
Yep. Yep. Everything. Everything. Like it's it
Girl,
it's really extremely exhausting. And I
exhausting.
yeah, and it's kind of like the interesting thing about it is like it it works they work completely differently from other people because
Hmm.
other people like if you said, hey, thank you for doing this, you did really good cooking, like the steak is amazing, thank you. They will take that, it'll make them feel good, and then they'll be like, this is great, whatever you give them, it does nothing for them.
Right.
It does nothing.
Girl, listen. You just saw, oh my gosh, I was thinking about this a couple of weeks ago. Why? I don't know. But you just saw me see something as you were.
Oh,
I
yay. Yeah, what
remember
connection? Yeah, what
you
connection did you
you
make?
called it just now. So many things. So always constantly, right? So you're constantly on your toes, but then you still have this thing of constantly trying to see how can I support you and help
Mm-hmm.
you and show you that I'm team you and I'm not your adversary and we're not opponents and I really do want the best for you. So he calls himself we had our own business, which whatever. Anyways, he would do a lot of stuff in the office. I truly believe he was just blowing a lot of time on social media, but he did do some work, right? I remember I was like, I'm going to be an encourager, and because I am naturally an encourager. So, and I have the gift of writing, like I got from my mom, I think because her communication style, she would write instead of actually verbally having conversations. And I'm trying to break that, but I still love writing. I get that from my grandma too. She loves writing. So I remember I was intentional with this thought. And I wrote down like an I'm proud of you, some kind of encouragement sticky note. Just in the quiet. I don't even remember if we weren't on good terms, but I don't think they were like horrible terms. So they were somewhere in between, which whatever. It's all bad terms, right? Because
Yeah.
the good times were manipulated anyways. So I wrote on it and I slipped it in his office on his desk right there where he would have his keyboard so that he would naturally see it before he even logged in. And I'm like, I'm going to start his day off great. Then he comes to me and says, it would be better if you would say this to me. I'm like, I literally said it to you. But let's keep in mind too, I can't say these things to you because you're not going to listen. Which is why I was like, let me write it down so you can read it and you can process it without me being in front of you. Like you can just have your moment with this note. And he comes back and that's what he says.
Yeah. Because if it's not observed by someone, it didn't happen. Because like it's yeah, you know what? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe part of it is that like, the way that they think is that, hey, if someone isn't observing my life, it
Yes.
isn't happening.
Ding, 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 ding. The
Crazy.
ego, right? I
Yeah.
need a witness to this.
Yes.
And it was, I need to be, what would he be saying? Honor me. Honor me in public,
Oh, that's
right?
mm.
All
Yeah,
the biblical stuff.
with my ex, it was respect. It was you don't
Oh,
respect.
no, no, no. Definitely respect. But I wasn't allowed to use the word to say, I was not allowed to say, I want you to respect me too.
Yep.
We had that conversation. I'm like,
Yeah.
you want me to respect you? I want respect too. I don't respect you. I don't have to respect you.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
You're a
Yep.
woman.
Yeah.
And so I found myself stumbling like, well, consideration?
Yeah.
Can I use that word? Can you consider
Ha!
me?
Yep.
Which word can we use here?
Which word is safe?
No, consideration's not gonna work. Okay, okay. Well, I'm just here whenever you
Yeah.
wanna
I'm just I'm just
treat me a
I
little differently.
yeah, I'm like the furniture, like I'm like here it is.
Yes. But his was like respect for sure. Hard, heavy on the respect. Heavy on the respect, even though he did not deserve it. But public honoring as if he was some god
Yeah.
with like lowercase g. It was bananas. But you nailed it. Like if it's not observed, did it happen? Because there was not a witness in the presence
Yeah,
of the moment.
yeah, because he is not a witness.
He's
He's
not a
just a
witness.
vessel. That's crazy. I mean, no wonder that's so. I mean, I don't know. Like, oh my God. Like, yeah. Okay, so, um, yeah. So, me and like his next girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, right? We're
Hmm.
talking, and we were talking about how like because she does like readings and stuff, and she really likes like physics and space and everything, and he said that
Hmm.
he likes space, but really
Right.
he doesn't really. And so I was just telling her about how, like he says that he likes these things. And
Hmm.
a few years back there was an eclipse, a solar
Mm.
eclipse, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was so cool. And so he had been talking about it, and I was like, oh, you know what? Oregon's not that far. Let's just drive down and do it. So we drove down and do it. I had the most amazing time. Like the kids remember it was like like the quality of light and like how purple it looks and how it's just like
Oh
the
my
shadows.
God.
Well, it's insane. It's so cool. And it makes you think about life. It makes you think of and so we did that
Yes.
and it was so awesome. And I don't think that even tracked for him. I don't think it did. I don't
Mm-mm.
think it did. Like it so it's just kind of like you say that you would like this is profoundly moving, but these are just words. You can go there and witness a solar eclipse. And you can
Yes.
even think about doing it prior to that, you know?
Yeah.
If I wasn't there, you wouldn't have done it. And it's just like, oh, they're just words. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
right. Hmm.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. You're probably the fifth. I'm gonna say somewhere under seven, maybe
Hmm.
the fifth uh conversation that I've had. I don't think I've heard it this. Have I heard it this year yet? This season? I don't know. But you're one of the 5 people probably that has said, I am friends with my ex's
Yeah.
ex. And it was just like that. It's like, well, we found
Yeah.
each other. I don't know if y'all knew each other before, but some of the times it's like, well, we found each other and we realized we were dating the same guy, and now we're friends and we talk
Yeah.
about the crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
love each other and our
Yeah.
experiences are comparable. And it's just, I think it's so important and just another thing to take notice of, like, you're really not alone, because we do
Yeah.
know, as the people who have been abused, that we're not the only person that they've abused or are going to abuse. We
Yeah.
weren't the first and we're not going to be the last, but
Yeah.
to actually have conversation and
Yes.
communion with someone who has been there, it's just, it's, I think it's healing,
Yes. It is extremely
I
healing.
would I would love to be able to say that. Yeah, I have never spoken to his ex-wife ever, because he painted her as all kinds of evil. And I'm like, I know that I'm the villain in his story now. I know
Yeah.
that I'm the new villain. But I also know that there are people out there that he's going on to,
Yeah.
that, maybe someday they'll come across and be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, let's
And
talk."
they'll
And I'll be like, "Okay."
yeah, and they'll be like, oh my God, run
Yes.
away.
Please don't. Please don't. I always wonder, if I see him in public, if I ever see him in public, and if I see him with someone, like, what do I do? Do I just
Hmm.
look at them? Because I remember we were walking down the street one day, and there was a girl walking the opposite direction of us, but on the same side of the sidewalk. And he's like, that was like, she passes by us, and he's like, that's one of my exes. And I was curious, because I know what I've already been through, and still, oh, this is one of the happy times. So whatever, who cares that
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
been abused,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But
But
I did, like, was she abused? And I was like, I was like, I wonder what she was thinking when she saw him, because she acted like she didn't even see him.
well,
Like, she didn't even, I would have not known that they known each other, because she just faced forward and kept going. And it wasn't his ex-wife. It was obviously an ex-girlfriend, but I was like,
yeah.
I wonder what she knows.
Mm.
What side of the devil has she seen?
I mean, given that she didn't make any eye contact, I would say it didn't end
It
well.
didn't end well. Couldn't have. Couldn't
I
have.
would
Couldn't
say.
have. Cause, like, I don't, it's not like I just would be like hanging out with my exes and stuff, but
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
see myself, if I see you in public, oh hey. Cause
yeah.
I
Oh,
I
hey, yeah,
moved on from whatever we
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
work
yeah.
out. I've moved on from that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because that is kind of like a human thing to do. Because even if you don't particularly want to see whoever from high school, whatever, like you see them and like, hey,
Yeah.
what's up? You know?
Yeah. Some kind of acknowledgement that I knew you in my former life.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah.
Janice, I want to go back to your mom, the conversation about your
Yes.
mom,
Yes.
and camp out there for a second. So you know that your grandmother's experience
Mm-hmm.
uh affected your mom, which
Mm-hmm.
of course then passed down to you, because your mom received what she received. And the funny thing is, funny peculiar, not haha. The funny thing is, any form of trauma, right? That's generational.
Yeah.
When you're in it as the receiver, you hate, you don't like it.
Yeah.
What is it in our brains that when we become the person who can give or choose to break the cycle, they don't break the cycle? It's like they forget how they felt as this young person, and they're like, well, this is how I was raised, so this is how I'm going to raise you.
I think that it's an odd thing, and it's a
Hmm.
really good question, but I think that really it is how far you continue to hold on to your sense of
Hmm.
empathy. Because as children, you have that want for people to like you, you're the one to be kind, you have that. And because when I'm thinking about it, right, and I think about like my mother, and and I think about my ex and how there's such this they isolate themselves, even when they have friends, they hold them at a distance, even
Hmm.
when they're like, they and I think maybe like that is the only thing that the only thing that can save you is community. Because for me, like when I was growing
Yes.
up, like yeah, I would like I would have great relationships with friends. I would be able to get out and like pretend nothing is happening at home, like and it's kind of interesting that like I think that many and I think I mean like one of the benefits of being a woman is it's easier to find community.
Hmm.
Just because like men are bad at being friends with each other, probably second generation, that just like it's so it's very odd. Like if they have one friend that they know, like,
Yeah.
if a man has one single friend that he sees at least once a month.
Yeah. Now you do have the ones that I really love, like that have developed this brotherhood, though, that either like
Yeah,
from elementary
yeah,
school or college or
yeah,
someone
yeah.
that
I
really
love
you
that.
can't
Yeah,
tell that they were born and raised in different
yeah,
households or by
yeah,
different
yeah. I
parents.
love that. Yeah.
But you're right. Well, I'm gonna say at least for the abuser point, I don't know. I don't know because I
Yeah,
know
no,
family
if you think
members
about
who
it,
have friends, but their friends are
yeah,
at a distance.
yeah, they don't really know who they are,
They
And
don't
so,
hang out. Like there's always an
yeah,
excuse for not hanging out with them or something.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
always an excuse for not having hang out with them. Exactly. There's
Yep.
always some excuse. There's
Yep.
always some excuse.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, and do, if they, even when they do hang out, okay, here's a question for you. Like, when like your ex, right?
Hmm.
Did he ever hang out with any of his friends
No.
one on one?
What friends?
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
What friends? I was his friend.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. That's the same thing.
He didn't even like his he's so unhealed.
Mm-hmm.
He has so much PTSD from whatever because he didn't share with me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why he is the way he is. I've only seen the corner of a snapshot of it.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
he's so distanced from community
Mm-hmm.
that he doesn't have a relationship really with his family. And the only reason he has a relationship with his aunt is because his aunt is the legal guardian of his two kids. If she was not doing something for him, he wouldn't have that
Yep.
bond either. And it's just like, but you want to be perceived in public like
Yes.
you have this really big,
Yeah.
you're this
Mm.
family man and you have this connection with people, and you really don't. Like there was his grandmother, his maternal grandmother died in 2020. I don't think it was COVID related, but it's 2020. And it was shortly after our first son was born. And so we had him in March, and then boom, I'm probably like the week or 2 weeks after I left the hospital, it was shut down city. Like nobody's allowed in the hospital, like all the things, right? And so she dies, who he's never gone to visit. He's never really talked about. He doesn't have like he had some stories about her, but it's not like, he ever called or he ever went to visit her or anything like that, or even ever
Yeah.
wanted to, didn't seem like. But he had this new baby and he wanted all of us to go to the funeral. And I said, I don't feel comfortable. I was like, you can go. I'm not going to say don't go because, I mean, it's your grandma. I don't feel comfortable taking me and my freshly out of the womb baby out into a world that just got shut down for
Yeah. Yeah.
COVID into a group setting for a funeral so that you can introduce. Like, I knew the reason he wanted to do it wasn't to support his grandmother and his family, it was to show off his new baby. And so I don't even know when the funeral was because after I said, you can go, I just don't feel comfortable taking him. And that caused an argument. And then he was mad at me because I wasn't doing what he wanted. He didn't go to the funeral, and I don't even know when it was. Like, he stopped talking about it. So it's like, it wasn't even that you wanted to go. If you didn't have this baby, you wouldn't have been telling me about the funeral and that she died. He just I was like, did they? And in my brain, I'm like, well, I don't even want to ask this to flare up some other issues. But in my brain, I was asking myself, oh, well, when did they have the funeral?
Yeah. As it was happening, you're like,
When is the funeral?
yeah.
All I know is he ain't go. And I was like, yeah, we're not, that's, I don't want to take my baby out there. I'm too scared. I'm more scared of my baby getting sick than whatever I'm about to have to deal with
Yeah.
for saying no to you.
Yeah,
But
no.
they don't have friends. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't. A lot of them are isolated. And then they make you feel like you're the only person in the world for them. And now you have this empathetic thing that's being triggered, and you're like, I don't want to abandon you. I don't want to leave you. You don't have anybody. Like, it's just a game of foolishness.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's like you're the only person that ever has been a person, like
Yeah.
it's like and then it's almost kind of like um and honestly like I wonder because um like his mother was a piece of work. Which I only
Mm,
found out later, because she's
yeah.
appeared really nice, right? And I wonder how far, you can put it down to having a bad mother,
Mm-hmm.
in like
Mm-hmm.
in men, like
Yeah.
because because they expect everything to be provided for them.
Yes.
So, and everything to be excused, like everything, like it's and but I also do wonder, like, my ex was a first son,
Mm-hmm.
like that's I'm like and I think it's probably different and like depending on the culture and depending on everything, right?
Yeah.
But like I'm the second born, my brother, like, and so I know that like
Mm-hmm.
my family dynamics, is to do with birth order and everything. And,
Wow.
so I'm just thinking that, maybe it does really like, I mean, part of it might be orientation, but part of
Mm-hmm.
it might be like, what your family of origins stuff was. Because I mean, if you didn't grow up, if you grew up with a normal mom, and when I say
Mm-hmm.
normal, I mean good enough, right? Like
Right. Right.
nothing major, right? Um, I think you wouldn't expect someone to baby you,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wonder, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe the abuse is all expectation. It's all
It
like,
is
yeah.
a
But maybe
standard that they've never received that can't be met, but expect you to meet it
yeah, well, and I wonder if
or don't.
maybe it's because they've never really given anything, so they have no idea what to expect to receive.
Or maybe they set the standard with the expectation that you can
Uh-huh.
never meet it, and it
Yes.
makes it all a part of the game that
Yeah.
they're playing. But I do agree with your speculation that just from the conversations that I've had, it
Yeah.
seems like the abusers have PTSD from whatever their relationship was with their mother. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't a good, positive, healthy relationship. I don't know that I've had a conversation where we've dove into anyone who's actually been able to recall whether or not, anything about the abuser's mom. But anyone who has, it's always been a negative experience.
Yes. Yes.
And some people take that and say, I will not be this way to anybody or my children. And some people take that and just embody it. So,
I think it's that the people who embody it don't ever, I think those are the people who are afraid because they're afraid of
absolutely.
what they will feel when they do it, because that's just avoiding it, that's just
Hmm.
running away from it. Because if you gave it, I think what it is they must feel like, they they are not strong enough
Hmm.
process what happened to them. And
Yeah.
this can be 50 years ago, but they have never one time thought about it. They spent the whole life chasing everything else so that they can
Yeah.
avoid that.
Because they've already experienced the pain. So it's like, to
Yeah.
me, I visualize it like this: the abuser has already experienced the pain from their upbringing, from however it came, parent, family member, uncle, school, whoever the trauma came from. They've experienced it, right? They've lived that already. So I parallel it with the visual of someone being burned physically. And the only way to treat physical traumatic burns is to go back. And I know this because my principal in high school, he was a cyclist. And one day, early morning, he's riding with his crew, and a drunk driver is driving, and he like takes out him and his crew. Nobody dies, but he gets crazy road rash burn, like crazy road burn, which is similar to, being burned.
Yeah.
So his wife happened to be a nurse. And I remember him telling us, like, in the healing and treatment process of burns, is that you have to get this abrasive, like Brillo pad, and you have to scrape off the the skin that's healing on top to keep the bacteria from settling in so that it can heal from the inside out. So if I've been traumatized already and I've lived through it, I don't want to face it again because I know it's going to be abrasive. Like me and you, even healing from what we've experienced, there is at some point a level of hurt and pain to accept
Yeah.
our role in it, accept
Yeah.
what we endured and allowed to happen to us.
Yeah.
But now we're further on the healing journey potentially than other people. It sucked, it
Yeah.
hurt, but it still had to happen. Like you can't heal without the sucking,
Yes.
without going back to it and scraping it off, like opening up, exposing it, and talking about it, putting the ointment on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the abusers don't have the courage to do that
Mm-hmm.
because they've already been traumatized and they lived through it and they don't want to experience it again. So why would I talk to anybody about it and resurface all of those emotions and feelings that come along with it when I can just let them fester and then explode and make someone else
Works for me. I mean, what's the
feel
problem?
my volcanic lava?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it doesn't affect
It's not
me,
me.
so
It's not me. Not me this time. But that's how I see it, Because
yeah,
if they would have been healed from it, they would know how to love or
yeah.
have a better sense of what love looks like, and a better sense of how to treat other people and how to be in community with other people without the expectation of what's in it for me. Like everything he did was what's in it for me.
Yep.
Every act of service to anybody else in the church with whatever group, what's in it for me was the mindset. So,
Yeah. No,
wah, wah.
like it really does. And so often it's just a performance, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And most of the time what's in it for me is whoever will think this of me and then I will be associated with. It's always about what other people think, which is a really interesting thing because this is such an abstract thing. How on earth are you gonna know what they think? You know, that's great. Like, okay,
Yep.
but I think and I think what I realize is that because I mean I went through a lot of grief when I realized that, hey, when I uncovered that the root wasn't just that my ex was abusive, my mom was also very abusive, and reconciling that. And I remember the first time I processed that, like it just felt like more pain than a body could bear, right?
Yeah.
And but I got through that night, and it was and I had to do like everything, to figure it out, like take a bath, like read, like what like every single thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then and then the next time the thought came to me again, because I had lived the worst night ever, it's not so bad the next time. And it just
Yeah.
keeps, and I think that just keeps, and I mean, like, I think that that is the process. I mean, for me at least, and also like anyone who has children, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much of the time that you have to block them off from all of your stuff just so that they don't get traumatized too, and
Right.
because they don't need that in their lives. Like you don't want to parentify them. You don't want to traumatize them. You don't want so it's very difficult to like split in that manner. And then also be in touch with your feelings after your nervous system has been so dysregulated,
Yes.
and then meanwhile you're still being harassed because I mean I can see why many people go back to their abusers because they just need to, I mean, like the thought of having relief,
Hmm.
even for a second,
Yeah.
is
Yep.
another thing. And I wonder like if maybe like we should really just rephrase the conversation as like, hey, if you are going back to your abuser, what have you gotten planned the next time it happens? Instead of,
Mm.
and maybe it is that like at that point in time they just need rest because there's no resources out there. There's no, I mean, what
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, maybe, from a survival perspective, that is the rational thing to do, especially since they're not getting, like when they go grocery shopping, no one's
Hmm.
like, hey, you look like you need some help. Can I help you with something?
Right.
Can I,
Right.
can I watch your kid for like 3 hours so you can just think?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, I mean, and I think like my therapist said something interesting to me. She said that, there are four states: flight, fight, freeze, or fawn. And no one
Hmm.
talks about the fourth state, which is rest.
Mm.
And so a lot of times, like, when we have as survivors or people like who are trying to get out, right? Who has like who have put down boundaries, who have tried to like, take their life back, right?
Hmm.
They and then they're very hard on themselves and they're like, because they're like they judge themselves very heavily. And I think the truth is like in that state sometimes we just need rest. And so like
Yeah.
when you're resting and you're like, oh my God, why am I thinking about him? I can't believe I'm thinking about him. It's because you have the space to do
Yeah.
so. Because if you're with him, you won't have time to be thinking about him. You're like, how do I get out of this? you
Yeah.
know like but subconsciously without acknowledging how dangerous it is for you to be here with your child, and then to be like, oh,
Yes.
but then but there's also like no good outcome because even okay, so if you do piss him off so badly and then it takes a while to get through the court process, even if it turns out fine, at some point you're gonna have to surrender the child to him and then he can like kill it. And that's totally, and the only thing that I think about like this is,
And
and this
that
is,
has happened.
yes.
That has happened.
Yeah. And the only thing that I that can give me any sense of relief is the thought that if he killed my children, he would not get to me anymore. And he doesn't want that because it's the only thing he has.
Yep.
So I mean, that's and I think and I know like some of it sounds like alarmist and stuff like that, but the truth is, once you see what those things are, you will then be able to tell, like the way that a certain snake smells, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Whether something is up and what you can do about it. Because if you haven't imagined it before it happens, there's no way that you are going to react properly. And also, do not forget that um abuses thrive on chaos and unpredictability
Yes.
and like waking you up at night and making it
Yep.
impossible for you to act rationally. So yeah, that's what I have to
Yes.
say about like specifically, like they win if you're hard on yourself,
Yes.
like, and if you're able to go back to an abusive relationship and suddenly have boundaries, that means more than anything else. I'll be like, I feel like this is bad. I'm calling the cops right now.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, or I'm doing whatever it is. And I think maybe it also is that somehow like what survivors need to do, or people in this situation, they must figure out how to focus on something that makes them
Hmm.
feel like themselves, because
Yeah.
if they feel like themselves then they can think their way out of it. But if they never get connected with that, and this is a very uphill thing because they disconnect from the
Yes.
community and everything,
Yep.
but I was saved by my community. Like I was into like making independent films, and the moment I got out there, like he couldn't explicitly say you can't do it. He
Yeah.
couldn't do this, but he could like not help me. So I'd bring all of my kids, and he wasn't sociable to begin with, so it wasn't like he would go along with that.
Right.
And I had a couple of friends who were like, hey, this is like what he does is not is not
Hmm.
okay. You need to get out. You need to get out because, and the moment you have a couple of people say this is unacceptable. Someone needs to say it's unacceptable, or you'll believe like
Yeah.
anything is fine,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
So like,
Or you know it's not fine, but you just don't have, like you say, you have the fear of everything of you're afraid of what you don't know.
yeah.
And but yeah, you said it. You said it for sure because they thrive in the chaos, which
Hmm.
takes me back to the point that you were making earlier about even once you do get out, like people just don't understand the mindset of the person that you're dealing with, the spirit that you're dealing with. So even when you do get out, and then you have the people who are still like if you're married and you have to go to court and you have all these court proceedings and you have kids, they don't understand. But the again, to my point earlier, the the police officers, the child protective services officers, and the court officers and judges, you've seen it enough so you should know. I honestly
Yeah.
think there should be some kind of psychologist in the courtroom setting while these types of cases are being handled, so we cannot just pretend like we don't know what's happening anymore. And we can
Yeah.
just be told, just like they have the stenographer who takes all the notes, there should be someone who's there who's able to interject when things are happening
Yeah.
so
And
that,
call it recesses.
yes, because what happens is you have the abuser who's able to put on a suit and tie
Yeah.
and in
Yeah.
front of the judge, absolutely fine. But in your case, even if it's 6 months or whoever's case, you still have this PTSD. Like
Yeah.
most people
Yeah.
haven't healed by the time you have to show up for court.
No, never. Yeah.
And because you have the PTSD and we're going over all this stuff, and then you have again, this is a woman inside of a man's world and room right
Yeah.
now. Then you have not only the person you have to sit next to or across the room from the person who did abuse you, that you know abused you. Then you have to listen to his lawyer and attorney defend them and make you seem like you're crazy. Like,
Yep.
nope, this is all lies. You're still dealing with PTSD. Most of the time, your attorney's not prepared for this type of battle. And
Yeah.
then you wonder why you have the outburst and you explode. It's because
Yeah.
he's sitting over there like none of
Yeah.
this is even happening and it's not phasing him.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
all a part of, again, how do I present myself in public? And because they're such masters at
Yes.
presenting themselves in public
Yes.
the way they want to be perceived, and the
Yes.
person who was abused hasn't mastered that because for the last 1, 2, 20, however many years, you've
Yeah.
been like completely wrecking my mind and
Yeah.
how my brain functions. When I get into this space, of course I want to scream. Of course I want my voice to be heard. Of course I want to not be attacked by another person verbally and tell me that I didn't experience what I experienced and call me a
Yeah.
liar. How
Yeah.
dare I have the opportunity to stand up and have an outburst? And then now I look crazy to you, Judge, who have
Yeah.
seen this multiple times before, but for some
Yeah.
reason you can't
Yeah.
put two and two
Yeah.
together
It's isn't that
and they get
interesting?
what they want
Isn't that interesting that like even though like they do this every day,
every
like
single time.
like yeah, no, and I can really relate with that because like yeah, I think I've had maybe like I don't know, I want to say 3 or 4 panic attacks in my life. But one of them was in the courtroom because like, they like it was just I had just such serious PTSD.
Hmm.
But thankfully like, in like for the temporary orders, right? Like the judge saw what my ex was doing, and because
Yeah.
my ex like thankfully like on the record was like, oh, she's such a great actress, you could hear it in the in his voice, like in the notes and stuff like that,
Wow.
and they noticed the financial control and canceling of insurances and all of those
Yeah.
things, right? So yeah, so it was really like no, I had a I mean but I think we all have a very rough go at it. And I would say that yes, what you were saying about like, the police and everything. I mean, at this point in time, right? I mean, I've gotten to a point in time where I can talk to a cop, but that's only because like, like when I went to rescue my friend, right? She like she wanted me there to help her move her stuff, and my ex was like was like, oh no, she has to go, and my friend was like, no, I need her to help me. And then he threatened to call the cops, and I said to him, call the cops,
Go ahead. Oh,
call him
please,
do it.
please, because I
You
know
know,
you don't like them.
do it.
Please, girl.
So he
They
did. Yeah, so he did, and I chatted with them, and they're like, "Oh yeah," and I just made sure, like, "Oh, just to be sure, like I can be on this side of the driveway, not that one." Because you're like, "Okay, cool, yeah, I can. That's fine. Thank you, sir." But there is a way that you have to do it because otherwise they're just gonna be like, like the. I mean, that's just how it is. However, I would say that, like, well, for one, I wonder why, like, they don't require any, like, you would think you'd at least need a psychology major or some kind of degree, like associate's degree or something in people to become a cop. You would think.
Oh, no, you don't need
Yeah.
any degree
Yeah, exactly. How is that right? How is that right?
because they need so many people. The job is such a high risk job and it has such a high turnover rate that they need to try to get as many people through the academy. And I know this because I used to be a fitness instructor for the city of Birmingham and
Oh.
I physically trained the people who passed the physical agility test to help them pass the physical agility test. So I'm
Mhm.
seeing this turnover,
Yeah.
how many classes they have, how many people start the class and don't make it through. They do have a portion of the class or a portion of the intake process where you've passed the physical agility test. Now you're in the academy. And a portion of it is an actual psychological exam. And they do have people fail. Like they have people fail the exam, and sergeants are coming back to me is like, yeah, that person right there killed cats when they were young. You know what I'm saying? From the answers that they gave from taking this test before they could really progress into the academy or stay or graduate from it. So there are people surprisingly that don't graduate the academy not because they're not physically able and not because they can't test well, but because they have passed the psyche eval. But then you got people who do pass the psyche eval.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Yeah.
have a degree, but if you do have a degree in anything, you just get a higher paycheck.
Yeah.
So they're not trying to, they don't have the supply and demand isn't
Mhm.
where it needs to be for us to be picky with who we're
Yeah.
getting.
Well, you could just, but like so yeah, but that's a whole thing, like, with like separation of powers and whatever,
Hmm.
and like locality and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But like, one thinks that if people, like, you can make the job less dangerous by envisioning the stuff. Because, okay, really, how many things can possibly happen, right? And so if people are better trained for the things that could possibly happen, maybe you wouldn't have such a turnover.
Right. I
It's
I think to your point, another solution to the issue, focusing strictly on domestic violence calls, is like you've seen it so many times before. Literally, this is the same thing with a different character in a different location, but because there's so many men in the department, a lot of times they don't even consider the severity of what they're doing when they go to the call and they let the person go, right? Or they don't hold them or they don't press the charger or whatever stupid thing they don't do. But why are we not training them to see the signs
yeah,
of, like, to care, to see the signs of the woman? If
yeah,
a woman has enough courage to actually call,
yeah,
you have to, like, there's no reason that person doesn't go off the premises with you, is not
yeah,
escorted by police off the premises so that she can figure out her next steps.
yeah,
And ideally, if we know this is a domestic violence call, we need to have some kind of next steps for her to get her. And yes, we know people go back. Yes, we know. But are y'all aware why people go back? Because of what you
yeah,
just said, I get this, as crazy as it sounds, I get this sense of rest because I'm not being harassed, and because you give me a protection order of protection. It's a piece of paper, and it is clearly you've given these out to people before, and then they show up and kill the person.
yep, 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 yep.
Nobody, anyone who wants to attack the person they want to attack is not going to be stopped by a piece of paper.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so we don't have the police training for it. We don't have the court training for it, the judge training for it. Like there should be people who is like, well, can I at least run this by you? Can we have a position for a psychologist in the police precinct so that when we have these cases come across our desk,
yeah.
what can you tell me? Oh, well, I just read this the other day. There was a post, it might have been this morning. It was. what state was she in? North Carolina, one of the Carolinas. There is a news article out, a brief news article that says woman who left her 3 kids and husband 24 years ago has been found alive and well. And then the article goes in to say that she doesn't want her location disclosed, right? She leaves on, it was 2003 or something like that. She left on Christmas Eve. She told her husband, I'm going to Kmart to go Christmas shopping, and she never returned home. She left behind 3 kids. Plenty of things can be thought about, right?
Yeah.
So whenever they had, within this month, this last 28 days, they had this conversation with the police and her, they did let her family know she's found alive and she's well, because somehow or another, some kind of new insight on the case. Like, first of all, who's really, are y'all like, I'm curious about that, because y'all don't really
Yeah.
care enough for us to be like, oh my gosh, 23 years later and this just popped up. But there are officers who just go dig through cold case
Oh,
files.
yeah.
I'll give y'all that. I'll give y'all that, right? So in the conversation, in the brief conversation, it says that there were, she told the police she left because of she didn't say domestic abuse, but she said domestic discrepancies or disagreements or something
Mhm.
was her reason. Like, she didn't go into detail with them. Because first of all, I clearly did not want to be found.
Yeah.
So if this was, I can't speak for her, and this is not for me to say, I don't know how you leave your kids,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you don't know what she was going through,
Yeah.
right? And I clearly did not want to be found. So I had this conversation, but then the police, like in this article, the sheriff or chief or whoever is commenting on the fact that she's been found goes to say, well, there was never a report of domestic abuse.
How the
As if that's
Somebody
as
tell me how to make that report, okay? Tell me how to make it. 'Cause like you don't believe me. Like I've
as if that as if that's a sign that there was no domestic
Wait,
abuse.
is there a
She
registry?
never
What is
reported it.
what is the what oh you didn't call a cop so they could say,
Nope.
yeah.
So it didn't happen, right? And that's the thing. I'm like, it people, it's a
Yeah.
lose-lose situation in
Yeah.
so many cases. Like, there's so many times, even when there is a domestic report, you show up. The last week's episode, this exact conversation, she filed a report in May of 2000 something, and then they didn't take him to jail. They didn't charge him, even though she had the physical bruises on her. They didn't, right? But then she comes back like she's like a woman scorned. She left, she did some things. She comes
Um,
back like a year and a half later because she's so pissed off about how things are going in her life and in the correspondence with her ex, who she had kids with, and she tells them that he was the person who committed a crime that they couldn't find. And then they arrest him. And then the person who is detective on her case or whatever comes to her and says, hey, I did go back and see where you filed this a year and a half ago. Nobody followed up. She's like, one time I called the police. She said, I called the sheriff's office. I said, hey, you need to get out here too. And she split out her address and nobody came. So what the crap if I don't file a report and I just up and leave? And then you have the audacity as a man to come and say, well, she never filed there was never any trace of domestic, because they can't do it. And if they can do it, they don't trust that you're going to do your
you don't
job,
want,
because so
yeah.
many times you show up and tell me, well, y'all just sleep in separate rooms, or you go somewhere for the night and you still got to
That's gonna
come
do it,
back.
right? You just sleep in separate rooms. What enforcement do you have to and yeah, what? Tell me.
Just sleep it off. We're going to let him sleep it off here,
I
and
mean,
y'all will be fine in the morning.
God, like, but you know what? Like, I will say that, like, at least where I live, right? Like everything that I went through with my caught stuff, right? But thankfully, it's really interesting, I say, as a doggy, like, I don't know, law type person. It's really interesting to be at like the cusp of, something new, but
Hmm.
they changed the definition of coercive control about when like we went to court, right? So
Hmm.
suddenly like now like there's a whole like it's like they list a lot of other things and it's not exhaustive. The list is not
Hmm.
exhaustive, right? And so it's just interesting to be like, see, so even though like I'm here, right? And I'm in a position where I mean, I do know what's going on. Thankfully, like my dad is supportive of me. My mom is not at all. In fact, yeah. Anyway, and I so I'm a yeah. Yeah. Like I mean I am a person with like resilience and like all these things. And even then,
Please.
right? Like I struggled so much and I did all those things. And even then, like, in court, like his lawyer was like, did it leave any marks? And I'm like, wow. I said, because the incident was that like he was drunk and he like lay on me and pushed me off the couch because I wouldn't go up to bed with him, right? And I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, and they're like, well, there's no penetration. I'm like, well, the point is he wanted penetration. It's not, and I've already gotten to such a chill place saying this now, but
Right.
you know, um, and so like like hearing his lawyer say like did it leave any marks, and I said no, when he lay on me and pushed me off the couch I did not have any marks. Let me be clear, okay? No, he did not like okay, I mean like and if he had I mean like so it was just one of those things, and I think like there was a point in time where I can't remember what he yeah, but I remember like, at least a couple of times in court, like because I was defending myself, right? Or rather, I was representing myself, right? And it was I can't remember what he said anymore because I was so shocked that like in the cross examination that I just said I began to say excuse me, I go as far as X, and then the judge was like, just stop, just stop, rephrase, like and so like so I got my DVPO and I had to represent myself and it's a pretty high burden of, but even then like as I'm doing it all right, and there's like all of this like and I have like at least documented like him acknowledging the incident to some degree. I have all of these like different documentations. I've got like the informational police report that I made, you know, and they didn't follow up on it because I wanted to make sure that it was documented, right?
Yeah.
And after all of that, right? And this is in a place where they are trying to write things to protect domestic violence um survivors. Even then, at the end of the day, it's exactly the same. They're saying
Yep.
it was the domestic abuse wasn't reported.
Right.
That's not to whom? To whom?
I'm listening to this and I'm listening to the, okay, now we're including coercive control. And
Hmm.
all I'm hearing is, but how do you prove it?
Yes,
There's no proof of it. Because it still falls under it's your word against his.
yes,
Like I can't
yes,
prove that you coerced me unless I have something recorded over and over and over again.
yes.
I can't prove it.
And let me tell you something, right? Like even so when I was reporting like my thing, like I have a recording of, right after he pushed me off the couch because I was just so shocked at what had happened, right? I had that recording and I played it I played it for the police officer and he didn't
Mhm.
give a shit. He
Right.
couldn't. And it's just like so it's like, and it's like so you're expecting such a high threshold from people who are being attacked on a daily basis, like you,
Hmm.
like, and so and thankfully, like, in my records, right, thankfully he was a stupid person who just kept verbally abusing. His way is verbal abuse and my way was like, I'm not gonna, like, I have maybe in that way like my mom protected me against it because I knew from being around her that please, like, don't text anything bad because you had
Yeah.
no idea the tone. Don't, like, don't, like, I know you might feel like laying it out. Don't do it because it doesn't
Don't
help
do it.
anybody. It's just completely unproductive. So thankfully, every one of my texts are extremely polite, and
Hmm.
every one of his are and demeaning.
Yeah.
So you can read it. But
That's it.
yeah. But how is anyone gonna know that, And like, and this is only like years later,
Right.
I can show it now after I figured out how to like, after like how much EMDR after like 2 years. I mean, sure, after like the support of like my fiance who I met shortly after he moved out, and like, after so much stuff, I'm so lucky to be
Yes.
in this position. And like, so for me, and so I'm like, even though you think the odds are stacked in my favor, they're
No.
not. They're not.
The fact that you can show up with physical proof and it
Yeah.
still be, because you don't know who you're getting. You don't know if you do get the courage to call, you don't know who's showing up. If they're going to show up, if they're going to show up and do their job, or if they're going to show up and roll their eyes and say,
Hmm.
oh, this is nothing. Because like you said, oh, he pushed you off the couch. So what? But you're not taking into consideration, like you just said, this is daily trauma. Just it
Yeah.
looks like nothing to you, but to someone who is enduring daily exhaustion and physical fatigue from mental, physical, and verbal abuse, this adds up. Like, and they don't take that into consideration. And there's so much that just it's they don't take it serious a lot of times until the person is no
It's
longer
dead.
here.
Yeah, that's right. That's when they're like, oh, we guess we should have done something about that, huh?
Like
Well,
Tennessee, some county in Tennessee had one of their sheriff's deputies or somebody. She was killed in domestic violence, and now all of a sudden they've pushed to pass a registry, just like you have the sex offenders registry. But that's the only like the only state in this country that has passed this bill. Like, it should immediately, if one state is doing that, it should immediately apply to all states. Like, nobody should even be questioning whether or not we need to input this bill here. But why
yeah.
don't we have a domestic violence registry? Because homeboy would have been on it. He went to
Yeah.
jail for it. And I didn't know that it was when you're not exposed to abuse, you don't know that you're hearing that he went to jail for abuse. So all I'm hearing is how bad his ex-wife is. All I'm hearing is how, they live together, blah blah blah. They have arguments and things. Okay, things happen. And she calls the cops on him the first time he tells me the story because he he spanked his daughter, which I didn't have a kid. I might sound so naive right now, and that's fine. I'm going to be transparent. I hadn't had any kids. My
Hmm.
exposure to babies on a consistent basis was my brother, who, I mean, he had a girl, and I wasn't hands on, like, stuff wasn't registering me when she
Yeah.
was young anyways, because I was trying to make money and travel.
Yeah.
So, and hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
So he tells me, I whooped her with a belt. He does tell me that she's one at the time, right? It doesn't fully register to me until I have a 1 year old that I'm like, I would never whoop a 1 year
Oh,
old with the belt. But the story was she called the cops on him for that. And of course, they just take him to jail. The story changed later, years later, to no, I actually beat my daughter, who's 1 year old, with the belt. She had bruises and everything.
yeah.
But
God.
see, me hearing you spank, I'm like, well, why in the heck? And I don't know why I didn't like all this. So many flags, so many red flags are just like being shot out of cannons while we're dating. And I'm ignoring them. I'm not acknowledging them as what they are. But there's no reason for you to spank. Like, a 1 year old doesn't have
Yeah.
the
What
consciousness and the
what
wherewithal.
did she do?
I have no idea.
You know,
Cried.
like
She cried because her milk was on the floor.
what could she have done?
Right.
What could
Right. But then when I had my 1 year old, I was like, no, why would I put a belt to my baby? I'm just thinking toddler. Okay, maybe they needed discipline.
Yeah,
I didn't
I mean,
know. I
yeah.
didn't know. It
I mean,
didn't
maybe
register.
they bit a dog, I don't know.
Nothing, nothing to deserve what she got. But the thing is, had there been a registry,
Yeah.
because when we were in our rental property, we got a notification when there was a sex offender that moved in a couple of streets away, like an old guy, old man who probably did something. Who knows how long he'd been doing it, or if it was something way back in the day. But we got a note on our in our mailbox. Hey, just letting you know that there's a sex offender in the neighborhood. How about we, hey, just letting you know there's a domestic violence abuser in the neighborhood
Now, and here's the thing,
with a
like,
picture.
yeah, and here's the thing, like, if it's domestic violence, like, and it's partner, intimate partner violence, sex is always a factor in it. There's no
Hmm.
way it isn't.
Hmm.
It's always a factor,
Hmm.
especially in heterosexual relationships.
Hmm.
So there's no reason why it shouldn't be considered a sex offense.
Oh no, it's not though, because y'all are married or you live
Yeah,
together.
right? Yeah.
He can't make you. Like
Yeah, he, no.
I've had someone ask just out of sheer curiosity, not with any vindictive and
Yeah.
malice intent, but he was like, "Why would you keep having sex with him?" I was like, "I didn't have a choice, really. I mean, I
Yeah.
had a choice. I could choose lay there, or I could choose whatever wrath he decided as get
Mhm.
back and petty punishment for me saying no."
Yeah. And I could choose for him to like throw you out on the street and ruin your children, because that's what they do.
Yeah,
Like, you want to go all the way and just do that, or
or
like, and
just
yeah, no, it's
take it
so
for however long.
no, like what, and I think like, and honestly, like, I think the other thing that like people like don't, um, the difficulty about being a survivor, right, is that, I mean, I was very lucky to
Me too.
find, yeah, to find like the next person I was with was really not at all like, you know, like
Hmm.
like like not at all like my ex,
Right.
and even then, like, it was really hard to begin to trust an
Hmm.
intimate partner,
Absolutely.
and yeah, and then there was so much like, stuff sexually to rewrite, and I'm just saying that, like, so it's just very like, so yeah, so as anyone out there who like goes through it, right? I mean, it is hard, and it's hard for everyone. I think it's important that they know that it is hard, but it also does get better.
It does get better.
And typically, if you go back and you examine if it's a family of origin thing or a trauma, it helps you at least see why you were trying not to think about it, or trying to like, make it make sense in your world that doesn't, because at the end of the day, right, like so with my mom, right, like, I mean, my dad stayed with her and still with her, and now I realize that the only whenever someone says I'm staying for the kids, what it really means is my partner is abusive and I can't leave because my kids will be ruined and I don't want to do it to them because I love them and my partner does not. You know?
Yep. It's
That's
a it's a it's like a catch 22 because you do stay and then you don't realize that staying still ruins
yeah.
the
Yeah,
kids,
it's so because yeah, they go out and find partners just like, and I'm just like, this
what
is
they're seeing all the time.
this is
But like you
terrible.
said, if you're in an abusive, especially if the abuser is the
Yeah.
mother's gonna most likely
Yes.
have
Yeah.
more time, more custody time than the
Yeah.
father. Or if it's the father and they do get custody and it's unsupervised, or if it's supervised with someone who's not like anything, it doesn't matter. They still find a way to
Yeah.
manipulate the situation
Yep.
and
Yep.
manipulate the kids and bring the trauma into the kids'
Yeah.
whereabouts, like into their awareness. And so it's like, almost dang if you do, dang if you don't. But
Yeah.
I still encourage, I'm like, I'm still an advocate for, hey,
Yeah.
the kids are going to be damaged either way.
Yes.
But if you get out, you have the capability of inserting them into therapy and
Mm-hmm.
starting it off as soon as possible
Yes.
and building some kind of protective barrier around their mind so that if they still do have to go back with their parent
Mm-hmm.
that's the abuser, we can, hey therapist, they have a visitation this weekend or blah blah blah. We need to schedule a session immediately after this visitation.
Yeah.
So that we can at least try to
Yeah.
combat whatever manipulations that's happening, so that they can hopefully see before they have to grow up and really, really be aware of it as an older adult that this is not healthy. I say get out. I say
Yeah.
which poison you going to pick? The
Yeah.
damage you can't
They're
see,
all bad.
it's
They're
all
all
bad.
bad.
but minimize the exposure
Yeah,
to the
but
fire.
if you get it done now, at least it's done now.
Right.
And you can deal with what happened in the past now.
Yes.
But
Yes.
later on, yeah, I think and I think like what we can do, and this is what like I mean, and I mean, I honestly like had so much anxiety about like my kids and like everything and like
Mm-hmm.
everything. But what I did learn from like my therapist and like their therapist and everything, because I had to fight to get them into therapy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, is that there are things that you can control and your kids are resilient. So as long and really you only need one parent who's stable. As long as like, you train your kids to know, hey, if you're ever lost, find a woman with children. If you need help, here's my number. Here's like if you just talk them through it and it becomes because I mean it's not just about like and so this is one of those hidden blessings of like being the domestic violence survivor is your kids understand what it is to be in danger or they
Mm-hmm.
have to. I mean, this is what
Mm-hmm.
you can equip them with. That's what you're in
Yeah.
control of. And so you can help them understand what safe feels like, what safe should feel like, and especially things like expressing their feelings, expressing their thoughts, expressing their needs. And if they can do these three things and they can know that, hey, there are safe adults that you can express your needs to, that is more important than anything else because if they do express their needs and is documented, now you're able to go in
Mm-hmm.
this insane
Yes.
like thing to do. And I think so I think that is one of the things that I have I don't know, I feel like I've gotten really, really old in the past 3 years, but hey.
Man, what?
Yeah, man,
It's like,
like
wow,
just so much stuff,
so
like
much.
and I mean, I guess it's something that I think about. Oh, and the other thing that I was thinking is like, I mean, and we've talked about this a couple of times already, but the idea of community. If you can get your kids to plug into community, they
Yeah.
will be safe. Because in with abusers, it's all about what other people think. So if
Yes.
you're able to, and they're only truly dangerous when they're alone with you. So
Yes.
if you have a plan for what you're gonna do if you are alone. If you have a plan and you practice it, and this is what's very important. You practice in your mind what you're going to do. Even if you think, oh yeah, it will never happen, we'll just do it. You know,
Yeah.
just so that everyone should know. I mean, it might be useful in a different situation,
Mm-hmm.
for you to know who you're
Preparation.
gonna call, like what are you gonna do, and so yeah, so so that's about as much as as you can prepare for, but community really, I do really believe that community will save you. and
Yeah.
and I think like the other thing that and I think I can't remember when I realized it. No, I think I realized it at the anti-human trafficking summit that I went to, that I talked about earlier. And what I realized, because I had gone there as so I volunteer. I was part of like, I think it's called the victim support team. It's part of the city of Seattle. And so like we were talking about earlier, like, they have it's under the human services part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it is it used to be a part of the Seattle PD where they would
Mm-hmm.
have domestic violence advocates go out for them. And then I think in the last few years I think it's been around for like 20 years or something. But like in since restructuring, they went to the human services. And so
Okay.
what happens with it is like cops can, like if there are domestic violence ish things, right, refer people to the advocates. So that's something
Okay.
that that they can do. And the advocates are not like they tell them that like, hey, what I have is not confidential. Like if it is, if there is a court case, I mean, I might have to like, it can be subpoenaed and prosecution, but if you're looking to talk to someone, if you need like, if you're okay with that, we can talk and we can check in with you, and that's what they do. And so in that way, like I mean, like I mean, this was the work that I was starting to do
Yeah.
just before like that was disrupted by my ex showing up at my house. So anyway, so I had thought that my healing was done. I had thought
Yeah.
it was done. I thought it was done, okay? Because they said that you should be at least 2 years out of it. I'm like, I'm 2 years out of it. I want to, nah.
I'm
Well,
ready.
anyway, well, you know what? Maybe I just needed to learn about how to get a protection order.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yes.
God.
Um, yeah, but so yeah, and so that's kind of what I'm being plugged into. And so back to community, right? And so as in that, this anti-human trafficking summit, right? I like not only has the Thurston County sheriff comes and talks about like his experiences with human trafficking and like and then in where I live, Thurston County, like I find out that there are like two designated domestic violence leads and they're going for this training. And
Hmm.
so like that feels better.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
like I know their names. I know their, like, and I think it should be pretty interesting because like one of them I did like is one of the guys that I made my report to. So I guess I'll see in a see going forward
Yeah.
how how successful
How,
it's
yeah.
been.
How it works out for sure.
So
So let me ask you something. Do you
mm,
want to have a part two
yes, we should do that.
where we dive into your personal experiences and what you want to share
Yeah.
from that? Like, because I absolutely thoroughly enjoy and love this conversation.
Yes, it was really good. I
But we've been
really
on here
enjoyed
for
it. Three
like,
hours,
yeah,
2 hours,
already. And
2 hours,
it's
two
just
hours,
like
60 minutes. Yeah.
it's been so good, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think we should schedule a we'll just I'll send you the link again. You can reschedule another time
Yeah,
and we'll do a part two conversation
yeah,
so
yeah,
we can
yeah.
tap into some other stuff.
Yeah,
Cause
no, that sounds good because I mean like yeah, I mean like hey, if I go through hell, it's good for other people, you
it
know.
and I survived it. Oh,
Yeah,
we're telling you about
yeah.
it.
Yeah, no.
And we have to get to a place where we stop putting our experience and our shame in the forefront and
Yeah.
have the courage to try to save other people through our experience.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no. And I think that like and the truth is that like anyone who is a survivor of domestic violence, whether you're still with the person or you have or you've left, like they target you because you are strong, because you are
Hmm.
resourceful, because you are kind. That is why they pick you, because they're looking for the most useful person that's available to them. So, yay, you picked me, you know? Yes. Like so and then meanwhile like and they are like masters of knowing, you know, of these observers who seems like the strongest candidate for survival. So I mean, you know what? Maybe, in Neanderthal times, right? Maybe it'll be like you get to like be with the alpha.
Yes. You
What does it
said
do for you
something.
now? Nothing.
You just said something that's so real that I don't know if I've ever worded this way, but it just like a flicker just came off when you said they pick you because you're strong, because you're resilient, because you're uh a source, you know. I always call them parasites. Like I learned, I'm like, oh, they're parasites. I see why. They need a source and a host. And when that host is gone, they're just going to go to another one. But
Yeah.
the thing I didn't think about is they actually, he told me one time, he's like, I'm a hunter. And I just put it together with what you just said. They're not actually going after weak people. They want someone who is like the sick, twisted Saw game or the movies where you have somebody like they want somebody that's going to put up a fight.
Otherwise it's not
And
fun.
and maybe not even a physical fight, but they want that too. Like in my experience, I learned very quickly not to even touch him. Like I'd never been in a fight before in my life. I don't know how to fight. I would
Yeah.
probably lose every fight. So when there was physical altercation, all he needed was like me brushing up against him trying to walk out the door, like not even just brushing up against him, not doing anything malicious or trying to touch him. That's all he needed to say it's okay for me to
Yeah.
attack, you know? And so even if it's not that I want you to physically fight back, but I think some of them, I think he would have enjoyed it if I would have actually tried to fight back. He'd be like, oh yeah, like blood in the
Yeah.
water now, game on. They
Yeah.
want people who have the light, who are resilient, who are resourceful, but are also survivors. Like they see that. They see that, oh, I think she's a survivor. This is going to be a fun game. Just like somebody who psychopath who lets somebody go in the woods just to go hunt them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all a
And
game.
And if they're able to keep you, if they're able to like control themselves enough to keep you in between and never cross the line too much to send you over, then you can like be extremely useful to them and they will
Mhm.
get all of that, like, you know,
Yes.
security in knowing that you own a person.
Yes.
But they
And
can't
that's all
control,
they want.
but they can't control it. That's the thing. You know, for
They keep
people
pushing
like
the envelope.
yeah, for I mean, for people, all we are is what we do to other people, what we make them
Mhm.
feel, what remains when we are gone, when we've stopped talking, what remains in our children when they are just happy because they know
Yes.
how, you know, that's all that remains about humanity, right? And in that way, it's interesting because they are survivors too, in an
Mhm.
odd way, in that
Mhm.
they know how to seek out a sign of life.
Yes.
And if they see it in you and they can at least be like, oh, wait, look, okay, here I am. Here are my kids. Here's my wife. Oh my God, here's a party. Everyone loves her. Everyone thinks I'm great. Yay. That's all. That's all. That's the best they get. They get to watch.
They get to watch. Girl, y'all, hey,
Yeah.
baby, y'all better be ready because
Yeah.
this was
Part
just part
two.
one. Part two is coming up soon. And we gonna be back on here, me and my sis Janice. But Janice, I just want to say again, first and foremost, thank you. Oh my gosh, this conversation has been so fulfilling, so fruitful. Like I just see it's like the conversation. I see now that when I'm talking to people, I'm able to create art
Mm-hmm.
in my mind and a
Mm-hmm.
physical picture embodiment of this conversation is all I see is like a rainforest that's just blooming with different greens and flowers. Like it's just been so vibrant and abundant of great quality information, great quality advice, great quality direction. And I thank you so much for all that you are willing to share. And I just love that I love that we can do this.
Yeah,
I
no,
really do.
it feels really good and it feels like, you know, you're really creating something, you know. Like it's interesting when you talked about like the forest and everything. I remember when I was like helping my friend escape the garage, right?
Hmm.
And I remember I was telling my therapist that, oh my God, like God, right? And she says and she was just talking about orchids like completely like randomly, right? And apparently within orchids, right, you can make an orchid bloom by cutting them a certain way or putting them in like something. And I had likened it to like a forced blooming, like I am the
Mm,
orchid and this is a forced blooming, you know.
yeah.
And so, and I just like that as, and I feel strongly with that analogy because, you know, like, I mean, yeah, I went through like when I knew that I was gonna show up at my ex's to try to try to help move all of his stuff out. I knew that it was going to be scary. I knew that it was going to be like I had to like spend a lot of time with that, thinking about it, like figuring out like, you know, like I mean, yeah. So it's and that week was hard. But like having gone there and done that and learned how to talk to cops
Yes.
and like, you know, it's I mean, it's the thing is that like when you think about like what were you afraid of, right? And this is just one of those like outcomes. And maybe this is where, you know, this podcast can be really helpful because if we're able to say, well, what are you afraid of? What happened with you? You know, then if the listeners who are still stuck with the abusers can start seeing, okay, like, because I mean, come on, the men, they're not very complicated. And even the women who are terrible, like they're not complicated. I mean, their complication is
Yeah.
that like they like complications. Like it's not it's all down to one simple thing. Like it's like they
Yeah.
don't like being told that you don't own me. They don't
Yes.
like it. So I mean, and that way maybe like, yeah, we could be helpful in that
I
manner.
think so. I think it is. I believe with my heart that it is. So we're gonna stick a
Yep.
pin in this one
Yep.
and pop it out later. But
Yeah.
again, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm gonna end it as always. So keep showing up, keep sharing your love, keep shining your light. Y'all, this has been part one with Janice the Orchid, not
Yeah.
force bloomed. And or dare I say, Janice the photographer. Be ready to
Yeah.
sign up for your stranger photo shoots.
Hey,
I'm
if
not
they
gonna let you
write
live
in,
this
maybe
down.
I'll be compelled.
I'm not gonna let you live this down. I am my job is to get you back
Yeah.
into what God
Yeah.
created you to do. Your
Yeah.
creativity. We are not gonna let that be stifled. But anywho's, thank you guys for hanging in there with us. This has been another amazing episode of the Can't Be Broken podcast. In the meantime, in between time, next week, we will see you then. We gone.
Yeah, if only you had those things.
I know. Now, see, now I got to figure out how to do the